Hello everybody, James here, WSI. My next guest is one of the most requested guests in over 2 years of WSI history. Give yourself a pat on the back. It's Barry Horowitz. Good morning.
Good morning, James. This is a huge honor. Huge honor. And I'm happy to be here and happy to be your guest. And I really didn't know about the fan base, what you told me. Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. So, carry on, sorry.
I'm one of these guys, I believe in my gimmick when I'm Mr. Technical in the ring, but Barry Horowitz at home, I don't live the gimmick, and I'm not a legend in my mind. I'm not. And guess what? It's gotten me places.
I'll tell you what, I'm not lying when I said you were the most requested or one of the most requested guests for a long time.
Wow.
Because I just, occasionally in the comments, someone will just write, bring on Barry Horowitz. And it's consistent over time. You're just a name that keeps popping up, so I'm really pleased you're on. And
I am too.
And the fans.
I'm ecstatic.
And the fans are pleased as well. As I said, in half a day we got over 100 questions in. There's tons of stuff to go through. We're going to go through the entire career. But first off, how is the body holding up, and how did it hold up in Impact Wrestling a couple of months ago when you wrestled Johnny Swinger?
My body, for my age and the way I take care of myself and my lifestyle, according to my doctors and my personal physician and my chiropractor, I'm doing well. It's if I do the opposite. I have a knee issue. Of course, I've had injuries in my neck and mild arthritis, sciatic problems, but I'm really a big believer in the lifestyle. I'm by how do you say this? By trade, I went to FSU and I wrestled. I didn't do well there in college wrestling. I'm not the same as a Rick Steiner or Scott Steiner or Brock Lesnar. I was maybe a good high school wrestler, won state, went to FSU, but I fell back on sports nutrition. So I am a certified sports nutritionist. And I just had recently, the last year or two, I redid my certification. I'm just into that. I don't do it professionally. I help people out, but really it's almost for my benefit. And I think between that and my lifestyle, I've never lived in the rock star lane, the left lane. I really think it's made my longevity, because most people, they'll tell me at my tables, to meet and greets, James, hey, you look the same, or your hair is different, or this or that. And everything about me is organic. It's natural. I mean, I do everything on the market for recovery, but the gimmicks and the rest, the hyperbaric chambers, the food process, everything. And excuse me. And I'm in the gym 5 days a week. And I'm actually training better now that I'm out of wrestling, because I couldn't pour 100% in the gym. I got to save it. You're on pay-per-view. You're on live Raws. You're on this. You're on that. So, and getting to back to the Impact, it was an honor to be introduced. Really cool. And I changed my outfit. I always wear the blue and no shirt. I said, I'm going to go the deal, the shooter boots, the tank top, but not something you would just find at a mall or Walmart or something. It was custom and whatnot. And I just had a slight limp, but in Johnny's matches, they're gimmick matches, they're 4 minutes. I haven't thrown a punch or a European uppercut or an abdominal stretch in a year, if not more. And it made me feel good just by being focused, being disciplined, concentrating on my match like I always have. I don't care if it's 1 minute or 1 hour, and it's worked for me. It really has. And I enjoyed that match, but people are smart in the audience now. So I come out, and you figure if I look like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound sock, they're going to boo me. They're going to do this. All of a sudden, I'm laying it into Johnny in the corner. You still got it. And I'm going, what the? In my mind, I go, this is good, because they won't do that. They don't do that for haha, And I go, holy crap, they did that, and they got the win, the pat on the back. I got to do a promo later with
Santino Marella.
Oh, yeah. Santino.
Yeah.
What a gentleman, and he does his job well. I've never met him before, and he's awesome. I like him just by that first meeting, and he conducts himself. He's a pro. So I really enjoyed the atmosphere, the locker room, everything about Impact. I didn't imagine it was that level. I was very impressed. I hope I could go back, either be, my dream before my legacy, James. I did almost everything I can in this business, or what they would let me do, and I'm grateful. I fulfilled my dream, but I would always love to be a coach. What now they call them? They're not coaches. They're
agents or producers.
Agent. I would love that. I think I'm qualified for it. I don't think I need a tryout, and who knows? Let's see what happens. But so far, I guess I don't know. I think Jim Cornette said it one time on his podcast, and I'm not putting myself over, but he says, I guess Barry's issue is he's never failed a drug test. He checks all the boxes for positive. Maybe he's just too good and too nice. And, in this business, maybe if I failed a couple of drug tests and showed up late, had shitty matches, I'd probably have the strap tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
World strap.
Too reliable. Too reliable, Barry.
Sad. That's sad. You should be rewarded on punctuality and your people skills, and most likely, big thing, your athletic skills in the ring and outside the ring, which a lot of people don't know about outside the ring. They don't handle it right.
Well, you mentioned something just before then that sort of ties into the next question of you were too nice, and as you say, you did as much as they would let you do. Now, several people have asked this, but I'm going to ask it my own way. There are different ways of referring to somebody who were working undercard matches and whose job was to make the person they were person they were working with look good. What is the term that you prefer? Because there are more pejorative, there are more positive. Enhancement talent, there's carpenters. What's the term you prefer?
2 words. One is enhancement. That's number one. Mm-hmm. Second, I stole this from a friend of mine. We traveled together, Tim White Lightning Horner.
Yes.
Okay. His one, hey, Barry, you know what we are? This is when he was up in WWF in early 90s. Star makers. Think about it. Mm-hmm. So I use Star Maker, but mostly enhancement. I think the word jobber and everything, it's wrestling, old school verbiage and jargon. That's fine, but it sounds almost degrading. It's almost like when you say a girl's a whore, or you say she's a slut. That sounds horrible. It's degrading. And I'm not degrading, and I'm not putting people down for that. Now, there is people that have a regular job. You could tell when they're introduced. The face, the body language, the attire, the body, the look, the demeanor, the work ethic. It's not there, but they don't want it to be there. I'm here. I've got a great job. I'm on TV. I meet my heroes, and I'm getting beat by The Undertaker. No. When I started this journey, James, sure, I wanted more, but I'm grateful for fulfilling my dream. How many people fulfill their dream? My wife tells me this at least once a week, and I have fulfilled it. Would I have wanted more? I'm not going to be greedy, but yes, I would have. Do I deserve it? I think I do. And believe me, if I was the opposite, you'd go, Barry, well, you failed drug tests, you're barely 200 pounds, your work is substandard. If I was all that, then Barry, you're a fuck up. You need to up your game. So, because I've seen other talent that can't even lace my boots, and they're in a different position. I don't mean that in ill will. I'm calling it like it is. I'm just not naming people because I'm not a stooge. I don't do that.
Can I ask you then? So your name has come up quite a lot because further on I'll do the same thing, but. Enhancement talent, I always say, who's the best enhancement talent you've ever worked with? Your name comes up quite a bit. George South's name comes up probably the most. A couple of other names that come up frequently as well. In your opinion, and let's say you can't say yourself, but in the Mount Rushmore of the star makers, the enhancement talent out there who did their job the best, who do you think did their job the best?
Oh, wow. See, I'm rating it on everything.
Yeah.
That's hard. Oh my God!
I'll put you on the spot here early, Barry. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. There's nothing wrong with that. I just have to think a little bit. And, I want you to hold that, but I want to piggyback on something. Not everybody could win. Not everybody could be Kevin Nash or Shawn Michaels or Hulk Hogan. You can't. It's impossible. You watch the movies, how they do the heel and babyface. Not everybody could do that. So then you have a guy, and I think I could pull that train. Thank you. That we could use him on top. We could do this. We could do that. But he gets over our guys that, for instance, there's two kind of guys you can get over. I can go out there with Bret Hart on TV for 10 minutes. He doesn't need help, but it's going to be a better match. But I'm going to go out there with Mr. Face Paint and shaking the top ropes and running to the ring. And basically the match is over after that. He's all blown up and whatnot. And I really have to earn my keep. I have to work hard for that, because if he don't get over, there's no asses in the seats. That's my job. And I understand it, and I don't take it personal. Otherwise, take it or leave it. They'll get somebody else. I have no issues with that. And I'm fulfilling my dream. I'm doing it. And it paid off, because I've been at that gorilla position, James, hundreds, oiled up, pumped up. Barry, we got to cancel your match. Thank you. No yelling, no kipping garbage cans. I got paid for putting my boots on. Okay. But I'm ready when you need me. And I think that's paid off also with different things. So you could use me either way, but you got to have people like me. You can't have superstar after superstar from match 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It won't work. It just won't. And
any names then?
By the way, what's that?
I was going to say, any names that come to mind then? Who are the best ones out there?
Okay, so now I'm going to get back to that. Sorry. Okay. I know I'm missing people, and I don't want to diss anybody. I'll tell you, Reno Riggins, good baby face. Enhancement, I've tagged with him. I would put him up there. There was a kid out of Memphis, and I still communicated with Ben Jordan. He worked for Global. Excuse me.
I've got a couple of names here for you. Iron Mike
Sharp. Throw some names. It may jog my memory.
Okay, Iron Mike Sharp, George South, Brooklyn Brawler, Gilbert. I'm sorry, I'm just on this top 10 list. Mike Jackson. Let me have a look here. Johnny Rods.
Oh, Jose Estrada.
Yeah, Jose Estrada, SD Jones. I wrote one down here that I used to love when I used to watch the repeats. Brady Boone, I always used to really like.
There's another one. Yes, a miniature Billy Jack. But you are right. You you jogged my memory. Gilbert, of course, and you mentioned there was Iron Mike Sharp, which when I got there, they were pushing him for the world title with Backlund.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Vince Senior was, and the strap thing, unique to this day. Nobody does that. And by the way, when you get hit with that, it's a freight train. But I love Mike Sharp. What a gentleman. Great person. Great.
The noisiest wrestler possibly ever.
Oh. Although, I'll tell you who's pretty noisy too is Harley Race.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. When he that punch, the headlock, always, you're hearing something. Is there a fly in here or what? You know what I mean? It's hilarious. But I pick up on those mannerisms.
I'm going to give you a couple more. See, so there's another list here I'm looking at. Jim Powers, which I never understood why he didn't. He pretty much had everything, Jim Powers. Pete Doherty, that's a great name. The Mulkey Brothers. Lanny Poffo, of course. Let me see. Yeah, some great names there.
Yes, definitely. I agree with all of that. And
Bob Cook as well. I want to give a shout out to Bob. I want to give a shout out to Bob Cook as well.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Sometimes it is personal. Maybe we don't know something about them. Maybe their promos are weak. Maybe they just don't want to do nothing with them. I don't know the answers for that. That is the what is the word? That is the politics of professional wrestling, if you will. So, but your names are really good. And I know there's some others. I mean, I've met guys on indie shows in Alabama. I'm going, oh my God, dude, you were unbelievable. But at the same time, why aren't you there? Well, first of all, maybe they're overweight. Maybe they're only 160 pounds. Maybe they've got Walmart shorts on, which doesn't matter. You'll get custom eventually. And you really got to be the mindset, the everything, the discipline, and who trains you. I think that makes a quality worker. And you got good workers and you got great workers.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, already we're going to have to skip a load of questions, including who trained you, which was Boris Malenko, but we'll have to save that for probably a part 2 already at this rate.
Okay.
Quite a lot of people have asked. Let me see who I'm going to ask. Play Tywin. Does his fans ever walk up to him and pat themselves on the back?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. They'll pat me, or they'll tell me to pat them. Yes, it does happen.
Yeah.
Or they'll look at me. I mean, they'll just look at me. They'll go, hey, they don't say my name. I mean, I'm in the mall or across from the gym. That means I know you, and then I go, thank you. Don't ever do that again. It's a gimmick infringement. I'm Jewish. I'll sue you.
You get one for free. That's it.
Yes.
Where did that first come from then? I know a lot of people ask this as well. Where did the pat on the back first come from?
Well, I was in an amateur wrestling match in Florida, where I'm from, St. Petersburg, and I was doing really well on points. And for some reason, I don't know why, what made me think, maybe I saw it in a movie, who knows? And I didn't do it the professional wrestling style. I just, I didn't know what I was doing. I got yelled at by the coach. I got disqualified. I got points taken out. But in my mind, I knew I was going to be a pro wrestler, and I knew I would be a heel. And I put that, however you want to say it, in the back pocket, in the computer bank, and I saved it. And then when I did get it and fine-tune it and done right and no overkill, it worked. It worked. And nobody, I've seen people copy it, a couple, and it's flattery, but I never want to be that guy, a wannabe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like me coming out and going, hey, James, what's going on, brother? I would never do that. You know what I mean? I don't do that. I want to be unique and stand out.
Well, something else that helped you be unique and stand out was your attire. This fella here, Ibzan Arroyo, asks, whatever happened to the jacket with your handprint? Does the WWF have it now in a warehouse?
Wow, that's cool. Probably not. No, they don't. I actually sold that at a wrestling auction.
Oh.
And the only reason I do keep certain things, and maybe I should have kept that, and there's a story and a secret about that jacket. Okay. That jacket was originally owned and worn in Global Wrestling by the Handsome Stranger.
I know who that is. Tell us who it is.
Okay. Not too many people know it, and I don't mind saying it. And Mark reminds me at almost every meet and greet about that. I bought it from him. I liked it. I had it tailored. And that hand on the back was free drawn on a piece of cardboard by me. Then I had a seamstress do that. So I did sell it at an auction maybe 4 years ago. Yeah, a lot of people comment. I'm sure I can get it replicated. Whoever made that for Marcus, quality. It was heavy. That jacket was heavy. Had to get a special bag for it and this, and that. But people do remark about it because I had other ones, but nothing of that quality. So, yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. I think I've said it on other interviews, and maybe Mark has too. But yeah, that was the Handsome Stranger's jacket. By the way, that's kind of cool name too. The Handsome Stranger. What a gimmick. I like it.
And you said Marcus Alexander Bagwell, wasn't it? That was his first job, I believe, was it?
Yes, as far as I know. I think he was discovered in Georgia by Bill Eadie. I'm not positive on that. And that Buff Bagwell gimmick, you know how some things just click? The name, the look, Buff. It's great. Whoever thought of that, I love it. I just love those flamboyant names when they or when they have double meaning. Like, for instance, B. Brian Blair.
like
You see what I mean? Where
the
it's going?
alliteration.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Coco Beware. That's so cool. You don't find too many names like that. No. They're unique.
Mm-hmm. We are going to skip over to Florida now, so I'm skipping another half page here. And now, as I said off air, I've prepared you for this. I have a weekly podcast with Dutch Mantell called Storytime with Dutch Mantell, as you know. And so I asked Dutch, we've actually spoken about you on the podcast as well, how he helped you. Was this like your first big storyline focused entirely on you? Tell us the whole story. This is Florida.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. Is this 84?
Yes, it was.
There you go.
I was in Mid-Atlantic, Crockett Promotions. I was there for 2 years. And the old story of how I was Bret Hart. And fast forward, I was Barry Hart. It was given to me by Malenko. I got there. And back then, you're Barry Hart. You're a babyface. But our heel manager's Gary Hart. There's confusion. So my first night in at the TV studio, I'm pretty sure it was Michael Hayes and Dory Funk Jr. We need to call you something else. Hey, we're going to call you Bret Hart. Now, in my mind, I don't know Bret Hart, but in my mind, I go, wow, that name is cool. I'm Bret Hart. And I'm going, and plus, I'm 22, 23. I don't care what you call me. I'm under contract with you guys for a couple of years. I'm doing my dream. I'm wrestling 6 nights a week and traveling with the best in the business every night. So I go into, so I'm finishing up there in the Carolinas. And, I said, God, if I could go back home, my family's there. That's where I'm from. And one thing led to another where I made a phone call to Jay Youngblood. He was there. I traveled with him, Mark, Steamboat, Rotundo back in the day. And also mostly a lot of times with Rufus R. Jones and Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, and Sonny Fargo. And Tommy, referee,
Young?
I always forget his last name, and I don't mean
Tommy Young.
Tommy Young, thank you. Right. So I guess he buzzes Dutch, and I get to Florida TV, and I meet everybody, and now my name's changed again. Now I think it's Dutch was there, and I'm pretty sure Michael Hayes again. I'm not positive on that one. We're going to call you Jack Hart. Now I'm really excited because my hero is Jack Briscoe. So I'm Jack Hart. So it goes along, and all of a sudden they throw this idea at me, and it's Dutch. And he's the booker. I don't know if he's the lead booker. I think he is. And he tells me about everything. And I love it and everything. And so I got to cut a promo with Gordon Soley. And I go out there, and I think I'm against Pistol Pez Watley. And I know he's an amateur also. So I don't know what made me do it, but I just went, I said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But Pez, I think you're about 5'10". When I'm done with you, you're going to be taller than Blackjack Mulligan. The bottom line is, Pez Watley, I'm going to stretch you and stretch you good. I'm Jack the Stretcher Hart, or Stretcher Jack Hart. And it stuck. It was one of those things. I just went for it, a shoot term. And people still remember that. So it went on for over a year. And then all of a sudden I'm in a tournament. I think the Southern title was vacated. The Florida heavyweight title was vacated. And they had to do, they do a tournament. So I think the tournament, the Southern champ either was Rick Rude or Hercules got the belt. I walk into, normally it's the Fort Hesterly Armory every Tuesday. It was the Spartan Sports Center, the University of Tampa. I walk in there, things on the wall, the matches. Oh, you're with Coco Samoa, first or second match, and you're going over. I go, oh, wow, cool. And I love Coco. But now I'm working again. Maybe this time, maybe Hector Guerrero or Tiger Conway Jr. And I keep on looking. Main event, Jack Hart against Mike Graham. I'm overwhelmed, but I'm trying not to mark out for this. I'm trying to stay focused. And it was, and Percy Pringle's my manager. Okay. And I got a lot of heat there. And when heat meant something. And of course, I'm out there at the leather jacket, the rock and roll music, the loaded glove. And Mike talks to me and whatnot. But I'm in his hometown and he puts me over right in the middle. I mean, this is huge. I'm going back to the dressing room. I'm getting tobacco juice thrown in my face. I had to get into the shower to get the leaves off my contact lenses. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I couldn't leave that building for an hour because the finish was a screw finish. And just set that aside. Mike Graham is the ultimate babyface. His look, his knowledge of the business, his father, his legacy. But the man is the most patient babyface I've ever worked with in my entire career. Who would come next would be Tommy Wildfire Rich, Brad Armstrong, Scott Armstrong, Tim Horner, I know Tom Zink, Brian Pillman. Mm-hmm. And when I mean patient, no losing their temper, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. None of that. They shut it. They let the heel lead. And I got so much respect for these gentlemen and other people too. But I mean, and they kept that strap on me. I don't know, maybe close to a year, and I dropped it to Kendall Windham. But it was huge for me. It was just, I was at the Battle of the Belts one. I mean, and I'm sure the WWF, they're watching all the shows. I know they are. You know, it's not hard to do that. I'm sure somebody's paid to watch those shows and report back to the office. So I knew that was a feather in my cap too. But it was just an honor to be picked. And to this day, I may have differences with Dutch, but I don't forget that, and I respect people like that. You may, how does it go? You may forgive, but you never forget. Stuff like that. Mm. I mean, for me not to forgive you and never forget, you gotta really did something major to me. So, but I'll never forget that.
Do you so originally, as far as Dutch says, is that he had booked you to lose every match, and then you'd be so disappointed. And right. Then was it Percy Pringle that you said, hey, you basically just said, I can definitely beat you. Is that how it went? Excuse me, is that how it went?
No, I think it was... else?
Was it Kendall Windham?
No, I think it was... I was doing something, or I was walking back from my match with my head down, because I would listen to Dutch how to paint this picture verbally and physically. And it was Percy comes up to me and he goes, Jack, I can make you a winner. And he hands me his business card.
There you go.
So there it is.
Yeah. Do you want me to, because I told you I was going to save this. So Dutch, I asked what your opinions of Barry, and he says, good guy, great talent, easy to rib when he's not ribbing you, loves Subway sandwiches, probably one of the top 3 cheapest bastards in wrestling business. 1 is Mick Foley, 2 is Barry, and 3 is Owen Hart.
I would say 80% of that is true.
Oh, God, what's not?
There is cheaper than me. Rip Rogers, possibly Lanny and the Savage, Randy. And you know what's funny? When guys make statements like this, I love this. For instance, let me paint this picture. Oh, I ribbed Barry. I did this. And these are light ribs. The hardcore ribs is when your boots are glued to the floor, your $500 Armani suit is sleeveless. Taylor. But anyway, when you're like that, you're a heat seeker. It's not good. When you get a rib like the Blue Blazer comes to the ring, I'm watching Davey Boy peek out he doesn't know how to hide. And I'm going, okay, something's going down. And sure enough, Owen gets introduced. Barry Hart gets introduced. I think we're in Seattle. And Owen coughs and a feather comes out of his mouth from the outfit. You've seen that in a cartoon. I had to walk to the turnbuckle because I'm trying to stay stone-faced here. But that was cool. And Owen and I always got along. Johnny Weaver told me it's not how much you make, kid, it's how much you save. Okay, so as far as any of that goes, and as far as ribs go, I've been ribbed. I never put them over. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of smartness. Nobody wants to be that guy. You're going to go tell on somebody, ruin the rib, and then you'll wind up like Outback Jack.
Yeah.
Or I think Joe LeDuc, which I don't know if that was entirely true, but certain things, something with the Rougeaus, I won't go into graphics with that. So, but what I was trying to say, James, is I love these guys. Oh, Barry got ripped. But what about you? What about you, Dutch? What about you, TT? You got ribbed too. It's just not put over or emphasized. Get my point? Yeah. So if you're going to throw stones in glass houses, you better get new glass.
Oh,
because it's going to break.
I don't know.
Everything he says, I didn't rib too much. And if I rib, it's verbally because I've stolen a lot of stuff from Dutch. Yeah. Oh, I have. I steal a lot of stuff from a lot of people, especially Kurt Hennig. So my ribs are something like to a guy. Of course, I love using them because when I was young, you're getting ribbed verbally. And I said, now I'm a veteran. I get to do it. I heard stuff like, from Ric Flair, Bob Orton Jr. or something. So I did it in Impact. And I get in there first and I'm being a nice guy and everything. And I go up to this guy and I go, dude, that match was incredible. He goes, really? I go, yeah, who'd you work with? Some of it goes over their head, and then Ronnie Garvin did that to me. I went from, I put it over. So it's just, it's just cool stuff. And of course, one of Dutch's favorites, I use it out and about. If you knew you were going to live this long, James, would you have taken better care of yourself?
I don't think he's ever used that one on me, in fairness.
You're kidding me.
No, he's never said that one.
Oh, he's scared.
Do you know what he always says? Do you know what he always says is, did you see that guy's last match? Boy, I hope so.
That is good.
Yeah.
I like that. In fact, there's another one I got to use. or he'll don't mess with me, Barry. I'll break you down like a 410 shotgun. Okay, whatever that means.
I want to ask you something else. Were you in Florida when Dusty Rhodes was still there as Booker?
No.
So you were there purely when Dutch was there then, because I believe he replaced Dusty at the time. And
I did not know that, but yes, that's correct. I worked for Dusty he came into Mid-Atlantic. And I think basically, I could be wrong, I think he was cleaning house. Changing up the talent. I was there 2 years. Maybe you're bringing in your guys, whatnot. So that's all. So
yeah, was Dusty booking at that time as well? Are we talking 83, 84?
83.
Kind of
83. You mean booking for Mid-Atlantic?
Yes.
I think he was.
Yeah.
I was in his office, so he was somebody at the office. Sandy Scott's got an office. Jim Crockett, Davy Crockett. So yeah, he was in his office in the building.
Dusty's. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. On a quick side note, I don't know if too many people. I was and I participated in the first Starrcade of '83 in Greensboro Coliseum.
Did you really? I did not know that. Who did you wrestle?
See? What's that?
Who did you wrestle?
I did not wrestle. I was part of the baby faces to congratulate Flair beating Harley Race in the main event. You could look at the tape.
Well, there you go. In Detectives, I had no idea that was the case. Just going back on Dusty Rhodes as well.
Sure, of course. Yeah,
oh no, hang on. You've got a Starrcade story again. So say that.
Oh, okay. So the Starrcade is over, but okay. Greensboro Coliseum house show. I walk in there, Jack Lanza, agent. Hey, we got this new kid. We want to try him out. His name is Vince Tortelli. I said, okay. I look at the guy. Clean cut baby face, looks good. I think he had red trunks on. I go out there, I bump him, he bumps me. I go over with a small package. I never see the guy again. This guy goes from there to UFC, and his name is Ken Shamrock. Mm-hmm. I beat Ken Shamrock with a small package, thank you. Don't say that in front of him. And He's not around. Okay, he's not here.
He was
but
last
anyway,
year. He was last year. I interviewed him right in that seat last year, in fact, Ken.
Well, he's not here now.
So no, he's good.
Like
no, it's all right. You missed him by a year. You're fine.
So I don't see him again. I'm sitting in the Manhattan Center for a big crossover show, WWF and ECW. Here comes Ken Shamrock. He walks in. Yeah. Hey, Barry. And I said, hey, Ken, I haven't seen you in, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I'm going to sign a contract with them. My wife's back at the hotel. I said, oh, wow, cool. All of a sudden, Ken's working. All of a sudden, Ken's Intercontinental Champion. All of a sudden, Ken's gone. He's back to UFC. And so it was pretty cool doing, going through that experience.
Do you know, I've heard this from different UFC fighters. I would say heard it from, but not to me personally. But they said that like people have wrestled with Brock Lesnar, people have wrestled, I'm sure, some of the strongest people in the world, and they always say Ken Shamrock was the strongest guy they ever wrestled. Did you find that at the time, or do you even remember it?
I don't know. I've watched his matches with Hoist Gracie and Tito, and Ken always looked phenomenal, intense. I listened to some of his interviews and stuff, and I don't think I've ever worked with Ken except for that tryout match. And I don't know where that Vince Tortello came from. I don't know if that's his real name. I can't believe I remembered it. And somebody last night said the same thing, and I forgot who it was, but they go, oh, that's Vince. I go, it clicked. I go, how do you know that name? I've only heard one person say it, and it was me, because I got the name from either him or Jack Lanza. I have never heard, not on any interview. I mean, that's like one of those long-lost secrets.
I find it,
but I own it.
I find it incredible that he went. I think his name was Vince Torelli, and he went for, Ken Shamrock, such a badass name. Why would you ever change it?
Oh, it's a, and so is Frank Shamrock. That's a badass name.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and by the way, you're not going to beat Ken Shamrock 20 years ago or right this minute with a small package.
No.
He'll make you a small package like that, unless he wants to stretch you.
He'll make you taller than Blackjack Lanza. I remember
That's
that.
right. No, Mulligan.
Mulligan. I'm sorry. Well, they were both.
Yes.
They were both tall.
Or Big John Studd.
I'm going to move on then, and we've got quite a few questions here. Jay Fabe asks, got to talk about his global run. So, and here's another one here from Mr. Deal number 2. Just wanted to know why you stuck out with the Global Wrestling Federation. There were good times, and then there were beyond lean times. So talk about the global run as a sort of entire package.
I was there about a year, and it was a pretty sweet deal. I was working global, WWF, independence, exposure on TV. They would take care of my car. I would drive from Nashville to Dallas once a week, be put up at a decent hotel. I think we took care of our food, or maybe I brought certain things, my bars and my tuna and whatnot, and water, and had a beautiful gym. And I was working there. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to get pushed by Eddie Gilbert. I know Eddie a while. Mm-hmm. He thought of the whole idea. He's very creative. It's almost similar to Dutch, that Memphis mentality, if you will.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a good way. So I was elated to be part of that. I will say on a side note, that is the hardest ring I've ever been in my life. I've taken bumps from Ultimate Warrior on a boxing ring, and this was harder. That ring does not move from that building. It's bolted to the cement. And if you watch, you're not going to see belly to bellies. You're not going to see multiple suplexes, backdrops, vicious slams. Now, I did a few, but you will not. It's ridiculously hard. It almost looks you're wasting your time doing it. It's a thud, and it doesn't create entertainment, pizzazz. It's like going out to a ring jacket without rhinestones. It's just flat. That's the word, flat.
Yeah.
So I loved going there. I loved working with Bagwell. I loved working with Del Wilkes, Sam Houston classic matches, Ben Jordan classic matches with Jerry Lynn.
Yeah.
These are my forte is to work with other technical wrestlers. But here's where the versatility comes in. I could go out there with Undertaker in 1 minute and look him Unbelievable. A lot of guys can't do that. But the next night, I'll go out there with Owen Hart and pull 18 minutes in Medicine Hat, Canada, Ontario.
Did you, this has just come to mind now, were you in the locker room when Jeff Gaylord tried to punch Eddie Gilbert or something? Tell me the story.
Okay. First of all, the Dallas Sportatorium, there's a hallway and there's rooms. I'm walking in the hallway. Jeff is like to the left of me, but there's a bunch of guys. I guess we're going to a meeting or something. I really can't recall the specifics of this, and I'm being honest. And all of a sudden, an arm comes above my head, and I back up, and everybody back, and Jeff Gaylord is peppering Eddie Gilbert in the head. Maybe 10 seconds. It got broke up. I think Doug broke it up, for his brother. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, and excuse me, that is the gist of the story. And I like Jeff Gaylord. Great look. And if I'm not mistaken, allegedly, according to Del Wilkes, he was on the Bob Hope All-American team.
Right.
Now, are you familiar with college football?
No, I know Bob Hope is, but I don't know the tournament.
If you're on the Bob Hope All-American team, it's a big whoop-de-doo. And he made that, and I didn't know that. I guess he was a Missouri Tiger.
Yes.
Okay. His look, he's a good-looking dude, always looked great, and so-so worker. And, I'm calling it like it is. I go, what the hell was that about? Now, I don't know how true this is, if you want me to say this or not. I was told he was paid by somebody to do that. See, in wrestling, first of all, telephone, telegraph, tele-wrestler is very true. Mm-hmm. But when you hear outlandish stories 3 to 4 times, in my eyes and other guys' eyes, where there's smoke, James, there's fire. When I hear that one outlandish story once in 10 years, it's a big rib. It's a work. And I've heard some good ones, and they're all true. Yeah. Because I will talk to other guys I know or haven't seen, and they're telling me the same words I'm using. It's got to be true. That's all.
I've also heard the same thing. That was even in because Jeff Gaylord died very recently, and that was
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that was in his obituary that I read as well, is that he allegedly was paid by some promoter not to do a global for some reason. I can't remember why, but yeah.
Do you know who the promoter is?
I could find the name out for you, but I think it was just like an indie promoter.
Oh, see, I wasn't told that. Let me get this right. Okay, you could be right. I could have swore, and I could have swore I was told, allegedly, that it was Paulie Heyman.
No, really?
That Eddie no-showed him, got his money, and never showed. So now he's going to get even. That's the story I heard. But I've only heard that story once or twice. So it's not confirmed in my mind that was a shoot. But I did hear it twice.
Allegedly is a great word as well. So allegedly we heard that.
That's what because I'm not stooging on anybody. I'm not trying to create rumors. That's what I heard. Something about he got a lot of money and never showed. And then this particular person was pissed and basically told this guy to beat this guy up. So who knows? I think we're both on the same track, almost same trailer, different park.
Yeah. This chap is written in. I don't know if this is about global wrestling. I don't know if Billy Jack was there. But anyway, Joshua Powell asks, any badass Billy Jack Haynes stories?
Yes.
Let me hear it.
Oh, this is good. First of all, I've worked with Billy Jack once or twice. No problems. Loves telling jokes in the locker room. Good stories. They're funny as hell. They're outlandish. They're crazy. But you got to laugh. And I've heard he was a hothead. I heard he's got a temper. I've witnessed it twice, never involved in it. I guess one time we were in Punta Gorda, Florida. Rick Rude was in the ring. Percy Pringle was the manager. I guess Percy hit Billy Jack with the cane too hard. It must have been really hard, and maybe it set off Billy. He came back, and I'm standing there in the lobby, but the marks aren't there. And he's like in his face yelling, rips Percy's glasses off and breaks them and throws them down. I guess hours later, the next day, he apologized and bought him new ones. He may have hit him so hard. And I will say, I've been there when these things have happened. I have seen Percy do certain things where, loosen up, Percy. You're just a manager. Don't play the Gibbs, the ribs and stuff like that. Don't zip up the body bag on me. I'm claustrophobic. And he did it. And that's not cool. That's not part of wrestling, by the way. No. It's not cool. So I don't forget stuff like that. That one, don't forget and don't forgive. There's others too. But so Billy Jack. So I'm at the Bayfront Center, which is an iconic building in St. Petersburg, Florida. I've always went there when I was a kid, and now I'm performing there. And I'm there as the Florida heavyweight champion. I mean, back then, if you were the Florida heavyweight champion, you were being groomed for the world championship. Jack Briscoe was the one. And then locals didn't get that belt, didn't get treated like that. The only people I know, hardcore local, is me, Brian Blair, Steve Kern. I'm sure there's others, but I'm just using them at the top of my list. So I don't know what happened, but that Tiger Conway Jr., kind of a heat seeker. I had an issue with him. We can go into that or we don't have to, but we'll just stay with this one. Bayfront Center. I don't know if he wrestled or he didn't. Wahoo was in charge. I loved Wahoo McDaniel as a booker because he wants you to wrestle. And if you don't do the job or if you don't, go. Get your bag and get out. They should use that policy today. But they can't because of politics and negotiations with contracts and whatnot. So I guess, allegedly, Billy said something. No, Tiger said something to Billy Jack. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it involved a girl. I'm not positive. But Billy Jack grabbed him. He had a big afro, and he grabbed him like right here, James, and he's punching him so much, and he can't move. Your hair is like, so you're getting repeatedly. Excuse me. He was getting punched so much, and it hurt so much. He finally got it, and it just pulled a chunk of hair out of his. And I think he went to his car with his boots on and everything. I don't think he was seen. I think he was fired and everything. Or he was fired after my match because he didn't want to put me over. And I beat him with the glove. And normally you get beat with the glove. You lay there. I turn around, pat myself on the back. He's up before me. Wahoo saw that, fired him, and edited the film and repeated the finish every week for a month on TV. Me beating him, but not him jumping up. See, and nothing against the guy. And he tried to stiff me a little bit in the ring, and I gave him a couple of receipts. I can take only so much. I don't mind snugness. I've worked in Japan. It's part of the business. Like Dr. Death Steve Williams says, hey, this is pro wrestling. This isn't ballet. Everybody would be a pro wrestler making money. Mm-hmm. So I could take the good with the bad, but when I feel somebody shooting on me or two, I'll buzz them, and then I don't buzz them. I'll just recede them back. Just has to be that way. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking for it. I'm a worker, but Did you ever hear?
There was a story that I heard when Billy Jack was in his rookie years, and he wanted to look like one of the veterans with the chewed up ears. So he got pliers and started chewing away at his own ears to make them cauliflower.
Never heard that story. Never.
Oh, well, there you go then. I heard. So I heard.
Oh, right. Pretty cool. But just go up to Randy Couture and ask him.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll help you out. A couple of to the side as well. He wouldn't even need the pliers.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm gonna move on then. And I hadn't realised also until today when I was researching you. And also, someone sent in this question: Shawnee in the wrestling. What was it like to work under Jim Cornette and Smokey Mountain Wrestling? I had no idea you were there, but you were on the very first episode.
I loved it. I was honored to be there. I lived in Nashville, Music City, for 12 years. mostly because I moved there for Jarrett. And secondly, I fell in love with country music. Like, I listen to 80s rock in the gym, but anywhere else, I'm at a concert, I'm backstage at the Opry. I've been in the #1 video pickup man for Joe Diffie, Video of the Year, Song of the Year in '94. Sadly, Joe passed away from COVID 2 years ago. Phenomenal. He was, if you're looking at main event wrestlers, let's say 10, Joe was in the top 10 in country music. He's up there with Garth Brooks, Travis Tritt, and yeah, I love Nashville. And what happened was, quick story, I'm driving with Tojo Yamamoto in his Continental, backseat, riding shotgun is Sato. Every friggin' trip is country music. I'm going ballistic. I'm going nuts because I'm an 80s rocker. And all of a sudden, I start falling in love with it. I'm getting into Conway Twitty. I'm getting into Keith Whitley. And and from then on, probably let's just go with 87. I haven't stopped yet. I mean, it's my hobby. I love CMT. I love country music videos. I like that life. I like the twang. I like everything about it. Now, would that be a second dream? Yes, but Barry can't carry a tune if it had handles. Barry could be behind the stage and help with the videos maybe and be in the background. That's about it.
How do Smoky Mountain though?
I'm sorry. I got so much up here that I'm sorry. It's a bad habit, James.
Don't carry on.
5 stories, and I'm going from 1 to 3 to 4 to back to 6, and I get flustered. So it's just me, my energy. I'm a type A personality. But Smoky Mountain was cool as hell, treated good. First time I ever met Chris Candido.
Yes.
And he's telling me how much of a fan he is of mine. And I respected him, his look. Black trunks, black boots. Chris Candido. I'm a heel. No Tammy, none of that. And my most memorable match, excuse me, I will never, ever forget working with Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful. He's from Florida. He's an icon. He's a friggin' legend. In my eyes, there's only a few that I will say who the real total package is. One of them, #1 is Paul Orndorff. The look, the wrestling technical aspect, the brawler, the amateur background, the face, the tan. He's flawless. He's the Mr. Perfect. Everything about him. One of the best kicks in pro wrestling. To this day, I still can't do it. I call it a floating kick. Goes up with the right and hits you with the left. It's incredible. Watch it. I've never seen anybody else do it. I work with him.
Best pile driver as well, maybe?
Oh, yes. Him, Bob Orton Jr., and I had a broken neck.
Yeah.
And I'm nervous. And they promised me they'll take care of me. And they did. So did Undertaker on the Tombstone. And so did Don Morocco on the Tombstone. And other people. And those both, especially Bob Orton Jr., they do the jumping pile driver. Okay. That's the finish. I'm working with Paul. And he goes, I don't do this too often, Barry. He says, I want you to throw me outside, and the guy on the handheld camera that's around the ring, I want you to throw my head right into that camera. Nobody gets to do that with Paul Orndorff. I felt so honored and flattered that he trusted me. He doesn't need to kiss my ass. He's Paul Orndorff. He's the man that went toe-to-toe on Saturday night in the cage with Hulk Hogan. Greatest finish ever. Who hits the floor first? And the clock's counting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Whoever thought of that, genius. So that was my, I only was there maybe a year or whatever. And I'm in the restroom. I see JJ Dillon. Barry, I noticed you were at Smoky Mountain and I saw you on Global. What's up with that? And I go, JJ, if you give me a contract, I will stay with you and never go anywhere. I said, but this is what I do for a living. I'm going to Japan in a few weeks. And all of a sudden, the gimmick comes up, and all of a sudden, I'm signing a contract in Louisville, Kentucky.
Wow.
Like, they wanted it now before somebody else You know, see what I mean?
Yeah.
I know where that was going. Somebody in WCW, I'm assuming.
Well, I'm actually going to give you a list of people you wrestled. Brian Lee a couple of times, Tim Horner, Danny Davis, Dixie Dynamite, Robert Gibson. You're also in a tag match. You were tagging with Rick Rogers against Hector Guerrero and Joey Maggs as well. So you're only in there about 7 months as well. I think there's only 9 matches.
Smoky Mountain?
Probably, yeah, Smoky Mountain. Yeah, you probably did some more matches, but these are the ones I can see.
Probably, yeah. Tim Horner's another one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's my forte to be with guys like that and Brady Boone. The list goes on and on. Hector Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko. It's just my cup of tea, if you will. Mm-hmm. But if you want me to go out there with Trucker Norman, I can do that too.
Trucker Norman, blink, you know, that's a name. Yeah, that's a name from the past as well. I didn't write him down at all. Before I get off Smoky Mountain, I always have to ask Jim Cornette as a boss, as a payoff man, and any funny Jim Cornette stories you've got.
No, actually, I would talk to Jim. He would cut up a little bit. He's always busy. I never was degraded, yelled at, treated wrong. When he was in WWF, I didn't get to see him that much. He was in a different slot. He was in the war room. Mm. Okay, so that's about it. The only thing I was stunned is I got an email about 1.5 years ago that he mentioned me on his show because somebody wrote in, and I think it was a rib because they said their name was Mark Horowitz.
Right.
Okay, maybe there is a Mark Horowitz, but not with, he's not my brother or anything like that.
Maybe he's a Mark IV Horowitz.
Maybe that too. And I think Jim knew it, but he went with it, which is smart. He didn't put it over, bottom line. Mm-hmm. And they emailed it to me, and I said, wow, that was nice of Jim. And he's always funny, but you could tell when he's being straight and shooting. And he just put me over, and it was really nice that he actually gets it. It's a shame some of these guys in the business, they don't get it to go, well, you know why you're in that match, because no, it has nothing to do. It's the power of the pencil, and the pencil has an eraser. Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. Excuse me.
I'm going to move on then, and this is more of a nebulous question, so you might have to search your brain for an answer on this one. Oh, what's his name of this printer? I tell you. School of the Ages. Tell some stories about unusual experiences while performing outside the US.
Oh. Well.
What's the weirdest place you've ever done a tour, let's say? Have you ever done like ones in Asia or Africa or something like that? Okay.
The weirdest and most dangerous was India.
Right.
I didn't think I'd make it out of there alive. I'm serious. It was out of control. I don't know if you read the papers. It was on that show back then called Hard Copy. Like Inside Edition or Access Hollywood.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Chris Walker.
Right.
Chris Conan Walker with the I. Right. I was there. Okay. That was my most threatening and most didn't like the feeling. I mean, the Iron Sheik was nervous. That made me nervous. And I'm not putting him down. I was there. I think everybody was nervous. That's not cool, I didn't think I was going home.
What year? What year was this?
92 or 93? Maybe 92. Yep. One of those two.
Is this WWF? Or
what's that?
Is this WWF or independent?
No. This was booked and put together by Tiger Jit Singh Sr., his son, and I think Bill Eadie. I think I'm getting there all right. From Canada. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and then I've had some unusual things like, when I went to Japan my first night, I'm in the main event in a 6-man. And it's Johnny Ace, Stan Hansen, Barry Horowitz against the top, Mazawa, Kabashi, and Kawada. I pat myself on the back. I turn around and I got spun kick in the face by Kawada, split my tongue. And I hear Stan across the way. Welcome to Japan, kid. Okay. I don't need to hear that right now when I'm bleeding to death. Needless to say, I backed up Kawada in the corner and gave him at least 7 European uppercuts, Dory Funk Jr. style. I was shooting with him. And he never said nothing. I never said nothing. I'll never turn my back and pat myself on the back in Japan again. I could do that in the States. I could do that in England. I could do that in Canada. but don't do it where the people are clapping because they're impressed with your ability. They don't want to see ha-ha and gaga. They don't want to see no Memphis stuff. They don't want to see any of that. They want to see, they don't even care what you look like. They want to see you go. They want to see you go. That's why they loved those guys, Dr. Death, Terry Gordy. They go hard.
I've heard that thing with Japan quite a few times where, especially if it's your first time over there and the person doesn't know quite what to expect, they find out quite soon that they're almost in a semi-fight every night.
You know, I'm going to give a shout out and props. I always go for people that help me, and I've helped myself. But Ted DiBiase walks up to me, I think in the locker room, you would be good in Japan, Barry, your style. I said, oh, thanks. He says, I know Stan Hansen. He says, I'm going to talk to him. Then I talk to him. Then I send him pictures. All of a sudden, I'm there. But I was told, you can't wrestle your first night. It's a Monday. You're on a plane Tuesday morning. Bye-bye. And, hey, that was my style. That I'm wrestling. I get to do what I'm taught. I didn't even have to go, well, I got to think about this. These guys know everything. I've seen things there to this day I haven't seen repeated. Incredible workers. And if I had my way and I owned a wrestling company or I was in charge of schooling and the funds were there, everybody that became a pro wrestler would have to break in Tokyo for 1 year. Set up the ring. Don't take a shower that night. Get the hell beat out of you. Stand there and get drop kicked in the face. Pay your friggin' dues and you'll respect the business. And I use 2 songs for this. The Dance by Garth Brooks and The Climb by Miley Cyrus. What does that mean? Basically, in a nutshell, without going into a graphic long story, you're climbing the steps of success to pay your dues. You want to go to the dance first, you'll never respect the business. And I've met these people who went to the dance first and they didn't. Some did well, some were lucky, and some flatlined. You got to do the dance. You got to do the climb. I love it. If I started over again, I would be with the Malenkos again. That, in my eyes, maybe I'm being biased, the best training in my life. I'm being trained by his sons, him, and at least once a month, Carl Gotch. Come on. Come on now. I mean, 18 months of training. And it's not because, oh, you went 18 months. What are you not? You didn't get it? No, it takes that long. You don't get to be couple of months. All I knew was a headlock and how to get in the ring. He taught, you're building a house. He built my basement. The 3rd bedroom, the 2nd bedroom, James, the attic, I got polished by working 6 nights a week with every pro wrestler in this world in Crockett. You've got to learn unless you're not a sponge. You're not disciplined. You don't care. You're not accountable. You're a goof. I ate, drank, and slept that, and it worked. And I watched a lot of film. And Crockett's rules, which I love, every match has to stay to the end. Watch every match, or you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting fined or stretched by Gene Anderson.
Okay, we're back. We went for a couple of minutes break, and then we ended up just chatting for 10 minutes instead about everything. It would have been a great podcast, but you'll never ever hear it. So tough luck.
We can't let them have all our secrets.
No, for God's sake, we've got to share everything we know. We can't share it all on the podcast. You know what I mean?
We can't say everything about Dutch.
No,
we can't do that.
You can never say everything about Dutch. You got to keep some
no,
off there.
That's like a kayfabe story.
One thing, I've got a game for you, but one more question that I didn't quite ask and didn't quite get around to asking. And you were in Memphis very briefly. I could ask a million different questions, but one question I want to ask, and I didn't realise this, was that the Midnight Rockers were in Memphis and you wrestled them, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. At the time, in the late 80s, their reputations were quite well known, probably in the locker room. What did you hear, and did they live up to their reputations?
I didn't notice that. I don't pay attention to a lot of gossip or label anybody until it's right here in my face. We're in the back. It's me and Chick Donovan, the Southern Tag Team Champions. We defeated Soul Train Jones and Rocky Johnson in the Memphis Coliseum, and we were defending our belts against the AWA Tag Team titles, belt against belt. Or was it a non-title match? I'm not positive on that. So we're going over things. Let's see. I think this is the first time I met Shawn. Yes, it is. And possibly the first time I met Marty. And we're talking over everything. Everybody's cool. I think there's nothing, maybe some jokes or anything. I don't remember the exact verbiage of the conversation, but there was nothing negative because I would remember. I just remember when the train goes off the tracks. And I liked the match. I love the match. And I liked what Shawn said. He comes back and he goes, I didn't know you were a wrestling heel, which back then means you could wrestle, but you're a heel. See what I mean? And I said, heck yeah, I love it. He says, I would have did more with you. I didn't know. And so obviously he didn't see me on film and whatnot. And that was it. Yeah, that was it. It was a good match. We were the semi-main event in the Memphis Coliseum, which that's their big hoo-ha. That, that building. I mean, that's where Jarrett and Lawler. I mean, that's the big deal. And many icons have gone through there. So yeah, I liked the match. Everything. There was nothing. It was awesome.
Do you have any specific memories or stories of Marty Jannetty in the WWF? Because there's so many, and you're smiling at me already, so you've definitely got one.
Okay. Again, I never traveled with Marty. Maybe I've seen things or other things people do. I don't really care. I've heard allegedly he was on tour in Europe and he took the tour bus. He started driving it. I don't know if that's true. I heard that story. Okay. What's cool about Marty Jannetty is, first of all, an ultimate babyface, good worker. It's a shame of certain things that have happened in his life. I don't know if he caused them or whatnot. It's not for me to say or judge. When he's in shape, looks really good. Another good technical wrestler. When I would go one-on-one with him. Or I'd see him looking rough. Or I'd see him at a meet and greet. I can't think of anything that was outlandish or you would hear stories or stuff. But one thing he did say to me, this is recent. I'm going to say he said this to me last year or 2 years ago. I almost cried. I was so flattered. He walks up to me, and I don't think he was drinking. And if he was, it was light. And he goes, I just want to thank you, Barry. He says, do you know how many times we worked together, Barry, and you carried that match, and I was out of my mind. I said, Marty, I'm a straight guy, and I didn't know you're out of your mind. I'm not clueless. I know when somebody's doing something or something, but I didn't detect it with you. You were there for the spots. You were there for working hard. He says, I just want to thank you for carrying it, and you're a pro, and it was unbelievable. It's amazing when you don't see a guy, James, for 20 years. They do a couple things. I got this from Dutch. I hate to say it, but I give props where props are due, no matter what. That's my belief. And he says, Barry, in 20 years, guys changed. They got more money. Their attitude changes. Or they're in jail. They died. They look bad. They're still ribbing. They change in some manner. And some guys I have met in this business, still the same old stuff, are broke and made way more than me, or some verbally put me over. And I'm thinking in my mind, how come you didn't say that 20 years ago? Well, they're younger, they're in the locker room, and guess what? They don't want their spot taken. I'm just being real. And another one is Ronnie Garvin. So much respect for Ronnie Garvin. As a worker, as a man, who I don't respect is people who don't respect me. And you could feel it. Yeah. The smugness, the kayfabing, the comments. I didn't know. Do I owe you transportation or something? Do I owe you trans money? I mean, these guys are insecure. I've been told by Not too many times, but I remember one time in particular, I won't mention names. He was on fifth, I was on second, and he commented on my match. It was good. And and I knew it was good. And he made some comments, and I said, well, maybe I should be on fifth and you should be on second. And I walked away. So you could take that for what it is. And it's a shame because I'm watching a good match. I'm giving props. I'm giving compliments. Some guys aren't with it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's from upbringing, people skills, if you paid your dues, did you climb the steps? You know, there's some guys, for instance, I don't know this for a fact, George Gray, OMG. I don't think he ever played football or wrestled. But guess what? This man is an icon. He's a great guy, great worker, and he was the 747. He wasn't Akeem. He wasn't that. In my eyes, he's a badass biker. Mm-hmm. I don't think he probably paid his dues because I think he trained with the Poffos and whatnot. Crusher Broomfield, if I'm not mistaken.
That was one man gang. Yeah.
But I really believe, I'm going places here because I want to end this with Kurt Angle. That people come from football, Dr. Death. They come from gymnastics. And it doesn't work. But then you got some that it helps. I think it complemented my work ethic, my mindset, my upbringing from my family, my parents, me as a person. Okay, that's what I'm going to say. Now, fast forwarding, I have never seen, and I say this on almost every interview, I've never said it to his face because I've only met him once. Two things. I have never seen, especially an Olympic gold medalist. I'm not talking an NCAA champion. I'm not talking an AAU champion. I'm not talking all Army. Olympic gold. You're a badass. You're the best. And you win this with a broken neck that you broke to this day probably 15 times. I have never seen anybody adapt to pro wrestling in 1 year like Kurt Angle. The walk, the talk, the amateur background, the pedigree, the face, the tan. He's another total package. And he could do ha-ha. He could do gaga right now. He's got over 20 years in the business. And he could school anybody. He will stretch your ass. He's an Olympic gold medalist. And I have so much respect for that. I've never seen anybody. I've seen Bob Backlund. I've seen Brad Rangans. I've seen Olympic alternates. They're all good, but Kurt Angle's great. And second part of the Kurt Angle saga, if I'm in my prime, which was 30s and late 30s, when I was working with Owen and Brad Armstrong and whatnot, I would love to go 30 to 45 minutes with Kurt Angle, move for move, not matching him an amateur. That's ludicrous. I'm talking pro style. That would be cool. And it would be professional. And I really think it would be good because of the respect thing and the way Kurt, just as a person. And I don't know him well at all, but I'm judging a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've seen enough of him on TV.
And the man he's beat things in the past. I saw his biography, his demons and whatnot. I'm glad he's alive because most guys aren't, or they look really bad.
Yeah,
he's beat it, and bravo to him. He gets the real pat on the back.
And a fine tribute to Kurt as well, and
I don't owe him money, by the way.
Oh no, not a penny, not a penny.
I don't owe him trans.
We're going to move.
Dutch owes me trans.
We're going to move on to a little game now. Name association. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a sentence. You just give me the first name that comes into your mind when I say it. The first one I'm going to say is funniest person in the locker room.
Oh crap!
You can't say yourself for any of these things. I'll...
No, I'm not. Oh God, I don't want to. Oh, okay. John Nord.
Go on.
What's that?
Why? Why John Nord?
He's just hilarious. he is so, his mannerisms, his outlandish stories that are mostly shoot, and his Minnesota accent and how he exaggerates things. We're in Alaska, me and him and Barry Darso, we're at the rent-a-car counter. The man's making money. He goes up to the girl and he goes, listen, I need a cheap car. He says, listen, we got a lot on us. He says 95% of it's got to do with death and drugs. I just need a car. Come on. And then he'll come up. He'll go, Barry, look at me. Without this beard, I'm Paul Newman. It's just crazy crap. Hey, Barry, you know I played for the New Jersey Generals, USFL. Guess whose locker was next to mine? Herschel Walker. That's a fact. And all these things he's saying, some are BS, but most of them are true. And he's just hilarious. His mannerisms, he's funny as hell. And I'm sure there's others, but off the top of my head, he's Brad Armstrong's pretty funny too. So is Tommy Rich.
Brad Armstrong is the name we get every single time, practically.
Classic babyface. Great worker. Not good. Great. So is Scott.
Next one.
Nothing against the Armstrongs. I'm just using those two.
Of course. Last man standing at the bar.
Okay, you know I'm not a bar person.
No, I know.
So I gotta last man standing at the bar. Oh, Hurt Henning.
Okay, that's a good enough answer. Biggest bully.
Oh. Vader.
Just in the ring or in the back or
everything. Not my cup of tea.
That's fine. Most bullied.
Most bullied?
Yeah, he was the person who just always seemed to get picked on.
Well, let's see. I got picked on, but in a good way.
Yeah.
There's two ways. You get picked on and you got heat, and they're going to get you fired, or something's going to happen in the bar, in your drink or something. And then there's the cool picking, like Dutch would pick, but that means guys like you. Just like I would pick on somebody. But if I don't like somebody, they really won't know it. I'm not going to rib them. I'm really not talking to them. I don't give a crap. Mm-hmm. So that's how I look at it.
Who was somebody who maybe the bad ribbing or hazing or whatever, who just seemed to invite it?
Oh, you mean seek heat?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Who was just the biggest heat seeker? Yeah.
Terry Taylor.
Just, yeah, Terry Taylor. Okay. Any particular instance with Terry where they managed to get one over on him?
Foot and mouth disease.
Yeah, I see. Smelliest wrestler.
I don't recall, but I think it was a couple of indie workers, and I don't know their names. It was rare that it happens. Yeah, I can't even recall. It didn't make an impression.
Okay. Who turned up the most late to shows? Who was habitually never on time?
Okay. I hate to say this, too, because I love this guy. But Owen was late, and so was Brett. They were never in a rush, especially Brett. I watched this man lace up his boots for a half hour. He is the opposite of Barry. He's type C. I'm type A. I respect it, though. And I've never seen him. I got to get ready. I've never seen the man put over nervousness. He's just cool as a cucumber. That's it.
Biggest stooge for the dirt sheets. Now, a lot of people don't have an answer for this, but do you?
Okay. Just straighten my knee out. Biggest stooge?
Yeah. Who'd always be calling Meltzer or Wade Keller or whoever?
Oh, I don't. Now that I don't know.
Oh,
I
really?
know stooges in the locker room that would go up to Pat Patterson or do this or do that to I don't know where they thought they were going with that, especially if somebody found out, like the Bulldogs, there's going to be a problem, and rightfully so. But calling up Meltzer, I have no idea. I really don't. And by the way, I don't care about Meltzer or those dirt sheets. And I do agree with Stan Hansen on one thing, and probably one thing only. That ruined our business.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. We will...
Bully number 2.
Bully number 2.
Yeah.
What, Stan Hansen or Dave Meltzer?
Not Meltzer.
Oh, okay.
And I'm saying that in a polite way, but also things have changed, relationship between me and Stan, so that's fine.
Okay.
He's changed.
Most in trouble with the office.
Most what?
Sorry, most in trouble with the office. Who was constantly being told off, called to the principal's office kind of thing?
I think Terry Taylor would get some of that stuff. I'm trying to think who else. Most told you not to do. I'm trying to think who the agents would yell at. Strongbow would yell at a lot of different people. Okay. Yeah, Marty. Yeah, I hate to say that because I love Marty, but he knows it.
Now, this one, most dangerous situation you ever found yourself in?
Oh, I'm going to say the trip to India.
Right. We've covered the trip to India. We've covevered that, so we're going to carry on.
Okay, so you want another one?
Oh, no. I'll just move on. I've got so many of these. I mean, for God's sake, I've got like 28.
I would say, I was always uncomfortable in the airport in Canada if somebody got off the plane drunk and they held up the show for a while. Yeah, that's not cool. It makes you uncomfortable. Nothing that bad. Nothing's ever. I can't remember. See, I stayed. Trouble comes north, I go south. I don't need to be in the bar at 2 a.m. I need to be sleeping. I need to be eating a good meal. So I'm not. I don't even encounter that, and I really don't care. Again, I need to take care of myself.
Absolutely. Now, this is one that I'm very keen to hear about, and I've got an idea what the name might be already. The stiffest or most reckless wrestler you ever faced?
I hate when I know so many people and had so many matches, and I don't want to diss anybody, but I don't want to also call out anybody. I'm trying to get it spot on. That's hard. I'm going to have to say Stan Hansen.
Really? Well, I'm not surprised, I must say.
Yeah.
Do you know?
And some of the Japanese wrestlers, there's a difference between being stiff, being snug, and safe. That's what you want. If you want to go the Vader route, sloppiness, reckless, beyond stiff. Now, if you're being a tough guy in the pro wrestling business, you could see that every Friday night at some bar in Nashville, Florida, or the UK for free. These guys are shooting, having a fight in the alley. But if you could get in the ring and do that, and it feels like that, when it looks like that, you are a friggin' artist.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody could go out there, Brody, kicking the shit out of people. I've never worked with him. Let me tell you something. I'm not taking that boot in the face. It'd break my neck again. Why does it have to be that way? Mm-hmm. You could work aggressive and snug in Japan. I did it, but I'm not hurting somebody. It may be stiff. You may be sore. You may have black and blue. You may have a black eye, but you're not going to hospital. I didn't break your leg. I didn't break your femur. I didn't give you a concussion, which I've had too from the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Next on this list, the best and worst WWF road agents.
That's a good one. Okay. I liked almost everybody. I'm going to say the best. Dave Hebner, Tony Gurria.
Shane Douglas sat in that seat last week and said Tony Gurria was the absolute worst agent he ever had.
Oh my God, no. I love Tony Gurria. I've wrestled Tony Gurria. To this day at the meet and greets, he's there, looks good. we go over different things. Strongbow to a point because I considered the source. He's funny too. You don't want to be late with Strongbow either. People complained about Lanza. I never had him. I just do what I'm told. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not, excuse me, you're not being afraid. You're doing your job. At other walks of life, you would get, if you don't do your job, you get written up or you get fired.
Yep.
In every walk of life. So, let's see, who else? Grizzly Smith. The only thing I didn't like, he's not a technical wrestler, and he's critiquing my work. He's an agent. Barry, I don't think you did. You went over by a minute. Oh, my God, it was a good minute, Grizz. Give me a break. You're doing your job. I didn't take it. So, I didn't take it like that. Georgie Animal Steel, I don't know. People didn't like. I don't know. I think I got along with everybody. It was pretty easy. Did what I was told. And if you come out, hey, Barry, you went too long. So I owned it. You're right. Sorry about that. I'll make it better. The good part about me, and I'm proud of myself, if I went over in a match, we want 12 and I went 15, the 3 minutes were good. Because if those 3 minutes were shitty, I'd probably be shit canned after multiple matches. So, and I'm going to be honest with you, it wasn't for glory. I was getting off on that match. I didn't want to go home at 12. I want to get this in. I want to do that. Not my shit, everybody's. The big secret is get the match over. Not just you, unless you're told by the big man. Mm-hmm. It's all about you, Barry, or I'll replace you. People don't know that secret about getting the match over. You understand that statement?
No, yeah, I understand it absolutely.
It doesn't mean get it done quick, shower, go to the pub. It means get Barry over, get Owen over, get Earl Hebner over to referee, and get the fans over. You do all that with a great story, you have a great match. And if you got two good workers, it's flawless. It's magic.
I've got a couple more for you. Rene Goulet.
I liked him. I liked his accent. I liked it. What funny story? I worked with him second match in Raleigh, North Carolina for Crockett. He had to put me over, and I don't think he liked it. And it was nothing personal. Crockett loved all baby faces over. I'm doing what I'm told.
Hey, and one more. Jerry Briscoe.
Okay. When I first met Jerry, he's did well in the wrestling business. Successful entrepreneur, the body shop and whatnot. I would see him at spot shows in Florida, Lakeland Civic Center, and I would always say the same thing. Hey, where's Jack? And I'm just kind of ribbing, but kind of meaning it because I'm a mark for Jack Briscoe. I'll admit it. I grew up on him when I was 14, 15, 16, and he'd say the same thing. Oh, he's in the stand selling popcorn. Weird-ass answer. But otherwise, Jerry, it was fine. Nothing to speak of. I mean, he was an agent, and I was only in on meetings with him, going over different things, maybe 3 times, 4 times. So
I've got one more for you.
Sure.
And it's going to lead into another story. Nick Bockwinkel as a WWF agent.
I liked Nick because, first of all, his verbiage, his articulation, it's very similar to Shane Douglas.
Yeah.
His graphic detail on working, and as a heel, he was cool. The suit, the look. And then he gets in there and he's wrestling and he's a coward and he's a total heel, but it's good looking. And I respect that. And I respect the AWA champion. And he would talk to me soft-spoken and correct certain things, but not too much critiquing. I guess he liked my stuff because similar technique. So, but I liked Nick. Always carried himself as a gentleman. Always looked good. That's an honor to be Nick Bockwinkel, an agent, and being in his presence, in my eyes.
With that being said, I'm sort of leading into this next story. I don't know how many people know this. I imagine not too many. That you, as far as I can tell, had the very last match with Don Morocco in the WWF, and I think this was on a European tour, maybe Italy. And shortly after this match, this is nothing to do with you, but Don and Nick Botwinkle were having issues back and forth. Do you remember anything about this?
This is the first time I've heard this.
Oh.
First of all, I don't remember that match. In Italy, he was there. I was there.
It's on the network. It's actually on the network.
I did. I worked with him. I didn't know that. Okay. Most of my memory is pretty decent. Some you just forget because it's been a long time ago and hundreds of matches. And I've worked with him a lot. I don't remember putting him over in Italy. I remember him being there. I don't remember anything, how you hear through the grapevine, telephone, telegraph, telewrestler, about Nick and Don Morocco. Wow, that's weird.
Well, Greg Valentine is there with you today, and he tells a really good version of that story, so you need to ask him today. Don't forget to ask him. I will, and
by the way, I love Greg Valentine. And the reasoning is, I was there when they were pushing him with Bob Backlund for the world title. I've worked with him. He's never hurt me. And to this day, when I see him, he's very slow and methodical with his demeanor and his work, but he remembers me and respects. And he's nice. I've never had an argument with him. I've never had nothing. I've never only traveled with him once. And that's classic. This is, if you don't mind me telling you, I'll tell it quick. He's in a Toronado, which is similar to a Cadillac, but it's new. And it's got front wheel drive. We're coming home from the Cap Center in Washington, and Bob Backlund is his opponent, and he's in the passenger side. Barry Hart is in the back seat, listening to everything. They're talking about the match. They're doing this. But this is back in the day when you would buy beer, and they drink it when they're driving. Johnny Weaver, Piper, they would do it all the time. Well, I'm not a drinker. So I sat in the back. Hey, no, thank you. And I'm just listening. I'm being quiet. I was just honored to be on that. I worked with first match against Jose Estrada, another man I love. Johnny Rod's love. Jose Luis Rivera, Conquistador. I love him too. And they've got this bag of nacho cheese Doritos. They're eating it like it's friggin' steak. And in my mind, I'm going, I'm friggin' hungry, and I want those Doritos. But I can't ask Bob Backlund or Greg Valentine for those Doritos. And it's not my diet. I'm 21 years old. I don't give a crap. Okay? I don't even think I had a drink in my hand. I don't even know if we stopped at a store. Well, obviously we did. I just didn't do nothing except sit in that backseat and grateful for a ride and didn't have to pay trans. These are superstars. I would have paid it. I wanted those Doritos, James, so bad. To this day. And I'll never forget, it was one time. I don't know if it was Bob or Greg. Hey, kid, you want some Doritos? Oh, no, thank you. I wanted that whole fucking bag.
But you knew the role. So, you knew your role, though.
I knew my role.
I'm going to give you a couple more, Barry. Then I'll ask however many questions I can until our time is up. But let me see where I'm going to go here. We already said the loudest spot caller, didn't we, more or less? So I'm going to ask, and everyone says the same name, but the most legit, tough, badass.
Oh, wow. That's good. Of course. And I know this has been documented and said 1,000 times. Haku.
Yeah.
Kevin Kelly, a.k.a. Nails. That's one bad mofo.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Orton Jr., Dick Slater. Now I'm going to go out of the circle, and my mentor, Jody Malenko. Trained by Carl Gotch. Him and his brother were called the Super Shooters in Japan. What does that tell you? The man is a hooker, a shooter. He's a tap out machine and enjoys it. And he's a badass. And he will break you down like a 410 shotgun.
I'm trying to think. Are there any story? Because you know all the legends of Haku and Bruiser Brody and Harley Race and all these other guys.
Yep.
Were you ever?
I forgot about Harley.
Were you ever party or witness to some badassery firsthand?
I don't think so. I don't recall. I don't remember. Let's see. Let's just go over this. Let's see. Bob Orton Jr. No. Dick Slater. No. Haku. No. Barbarian. No.
What about like Bob Roop or something like that? Because obviously in Florida they still did like the fan challenges and stuff. Did you never see that either? Or?
I was never there. And the Bob Roop I met, he was an agent for WCW. The Bob Roop I met was just a couple of years ago at a Florida meet and greet. But I heard some stories about Bob Roop as far as he could go, as far as an amateur. Jody Malenko talks to him almost every day. They're buddies. I guess there's a big respect thing there.
I'm going to give you one more then. It sort of ties in, but do you remember the most memorable backstage fight?
Witnessed it or remember it?
Witnessed it.
Yes. Get this right. Fort Wayne, Indiana TV. I'm coming back from catering. I'm on the left side of this hallway. Of the right side of the hallway, 50 feet from me, give or take, Pat Patterson is right here. Get this right. Dynamite is right here. Bulldog is right here. I'm walking. I may have been talking to somebody. I just got done eating, or am I going to catering? I don't remember. I know it was Fort Wayne. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I see a punch thrown, and I see Pat Patterson freaking like, stop it, you know, he's panicking. And I see Dynamite's face with no teeth and bleeding profusely from the mouth. That's what I saw. I guess it was cleared out. The only thing I could add to that story, I don't know if this is true. I don't know. Jacques did it. I heard something about the quarters. I don't know about that. No, did I see him fly? No, I didn't see that. I wasn't around long enough or investigating it. But I think, allegedly, that Raymond was going to step in, and Bad News Brown said, no, you're not. And believe me, I think Raymond is a martial artist, but you're not going to match with a Bad News Allen because he really is Bad News. And if I'm not mistaken, took a bronze medal in the Olympics for judo. You don't want, you might as well just go pick a fight with Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
So that's what I was told. I don't know for a fact. And I'm not going to go up to Bad News and ask him, because then I'm going to get broken down like a 410 shotgun for asking him.
Do you know, I actually wrote down one just because I thought maybe you're going to say this one. I like to predict occasionally the answer. And I wrote down Coco Beware versus Jim Troy in the hotel. That may have been in Europe. I don't know if you were there for that one.
I've heard that story. That's all I heard. That story. I also heard one about Kern and Coco Beware.
Yes.
Back in Memphis. Just heard it. Did not witness it.
We are going to move on then. So we've got, 20-odd minutes left. So I'm going to ask sort of like the greatest hits of the next 3 pages worth of questions. So I'm trying to think where I'm going to start with. So much from the WWF 80s run that I wanted to get to, but I will ask this. Juan Under, is it true that you had beef with Bam Bam Bigelow? I have no idea about this.
Have what?
Have beef heats. Heat beef with Bam Bam Bigelow.
Not that I know of. I've never had words with him. I think I've worked with him. He tried to rib me and pull my trunks down at a battle royal. See, again, ha and gaga, which I don't put over. It didn't work. I have a drawstring. I don't know if he found that amusing or he's trying to amuse the boys. wasn't bullied or nothing. It was just, okay, just what was that about? He's always said hello to me. Never traveled with him. May have worked with him once. Yeah, not that I know of.
Oh, well, bad information question then, apparently. Bit player, thoughts on the Ultimate Warrior? Did Warrior knock you out? Did you see him passed out in gorilla position after matches because he blew himself up? He was still the Dingo Warrior at this time.
He's never knocked me out. I've seen him at the gorilla position, blown up, so to speak. What I didn't like is there was a match on TV. Friend of mine, Brian Costello, had an Irish type gimmick with the clover leaf. He was from Mishawaka, South Bend, Indiana. Warrior hit him right in the face, and I think it shattered his nose or his teeth or something. He comes back and goes to one knee, and he's leaning on one of those boxes you see. They're on wheels. They carry equipment for backstage. You see them in Hollywood. You see them everywhere. They're production boxes. Mm-hmm. He's leaning on it, and he's down, and he's hurt. Tony Gurria goes to his aid. Warrior walks right by and goes like this and kept on walking. I witnessed that, and I put that there, too. Mm. I don't like people like that.
No, I can imagine why as well. I mean, I've talked to George South, I've talked to Brooklyn Brawler, and they both said that they knocked them out, or just basically did not take care. Ultimate Warrior did not take care of their bodies.
I'm going to piggyback on all of this because, well, first of all, when I first met Jim, he was Dingo Warrior. I worked with him at the Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis. Very grateful. He's green. I'm in the shower with him, and the guy's telling me about he's got problems with his marriage or something, his first marriage. I'm thinking he's I don't know why he's telling me this stuff. And just, he was humblified. But here's a classic example of too much, too soon, hanging with the wrong guys and following the wrong guys. Mm-hmm. Basically, in my eyes, he's a smartened up bodybuilder. I'm just calling it like it is. I don't really think he liked pro wrestling. I don't think he got trained right. He didn't pay his dues. Maybe he liked it for a hot minute. Okay. I'd work with him. It was the same old thing, the same old thing. And the clotheslines were stiff and stuff. No problem. I mean, I took a press slam from him on a boxing ring in St. Gerardo, Missouri. This is when Vince, you would have to get a ring. Now he's got a ring in every building. They had to go rent that darn thing was like falling on cement. He lifted me, and I landed on my forearm, and it split open. That's how hard the ring was. It split right here, bleeding. Always in a bad mood, yelling in diners, which is a no-no. You're supposed to be a pro. The agents telling him, great match, Jim. That's bullshit. Okay? But my biggest, and this is a fact, Baltimore Civic Arena. I work with him at TV. The locker rooms are separate, babyface and heel. He's screaming, and I can hear him through the wall. So he picks me up for a press slam. I know how to take a press slam. By the way, I've been press slammed by the best, and I will call it like it is. Best press slam, taking care of me in the ring, Lex Luger.
Really?
That's a fact.
Wow.
Sells for me, never hurt me, torture rack, anything. His other things, maybe he had other things going in the lock. I don't care. And I consider the source. Took care of me in the ring professionally. I think it was a respect thing, and I'm hoping it was. Excuse me. So, taking a press slam, he's not strong enough. He can't get me. I was 215 at the time, maybe 220. That's not my fault. You fucked up. Own it. You'll become a better person and a better worker. If you always say you're another, or you're blaming it, or passing the buck, you'll never get better in life, period, especially as a pro athlete, pro wrestler. And I could hear that dude through the locker room. This guy's been in the business 20 years and he can't take a fucking press slam. Now, normally, I'd want to go in there and confront. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm in there, and if I do confront him, first of all, I I never told people to this day, maybe few people know that I wrestled amateur. Not the pedigree of Kurt Angle or the Steiners or Brock Lesnar. Amateur wrestler, period. High school and college. Never told anybody that. Never told them anything about that I was a certified sports nutrition. I don't need to. I'm a wrestler. I don't want to advertise that. I want to stay with my craft, and I don't want people to know my business. So let's say I go in there. I know what he don't know what he's doing. I would leg dive him and take him down, and it'd be embarrassing. I'd get fired. Pecking order. Let's make an example. And plus, I would get jumped by the Bulldogs. I know I would. I can't fight 5 people, and who knows who's going to defend me. That was distasteful, disrespectful, and just being a dick. And I don't forgive, and I don't forget.
With that being said, with the Ultimate Warrior, we can leave the Ultimate Warrior there. But as we know, you go in there to make people look good. You go in there to have
Excuse
a good
me, 1 second.
Go on.
I'm sorry. It just came to my mind.
Oh, go ahead.
When I think of Warrior and I think of face paint, I think of the Road Warriors, Demolition, and Sting. Not that jack off.
With that being said, you're going in there to make people look good. You're going in there to do a job and get paid, etc., etc. You're working with all the biggest stars, Randy Savage and Jake Robertson, whoever else you're working with. Who are the guys at the top who are the most gracious, thank you afterwards, shake your hand, and protect your body, and who are the guys who don't?
The dudes that did for me, Roddy Piper, Don Morocco, Jimmy Snuka, all of the Samoans. Mm-hmm. Of course, Mike Graham, Brian Blair, Steve Kern, a lot of gracious people, sincerely. As far as the second B part of the question, James?
Yep.
Who didn't?
Yeah.
Who didn't?
Basically, who laid it in when they just didn't need to get themselves over at your expense?
Oh yeah, got to get their shit in. It's
exactly
called. No matter what.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. It's really, what do you call it? Selfish. I don't know. Probably Stan a little bit, but now that I made amends with Stan, there's a guy haven't seen over 20 years. He has changed for the best. Vader, of course. Not too many. Tiger Conway Jr., so. I really can't. JBL, little reckless, by the way, and a River.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen him in the last 20 years and it's changed for the best. Remarried, mature, basically out of wrestling, successful. Good for him. Yeah. Well, yeah, he's up there with the reckless and stuff like that.
We are going to... Because I can hear a squeaky door in the background, so someone's walking in and out. I know someone's staring at you from the sidelines. I can't let you go. I can't let you go without... Actually, let me just pause it one sec. Okay, right, we've cleared that out then. So we've got 10 more minutes with Barry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. We've got 10 more
No,
minutes
I
with
was
Barry.
just excited that Greg was here. I saw him last year, and I told you how much I like him.
Yeah. And it's good you said you liked him as well, because he's right there. Right, I can't let you go without asking what everybody's been asking. So, WWF The Push, 1995. Give me the meeting where you're told you are finally going to have some TV time dedicated to you, and you're going to get some wins, and we're basically going to be more featured.
I walk into, it's either State College, which is a part of Pennsylvania, or Wilkesboro. I'm not positive. It's cold. I'm with Dirty Dutch. I don't know why. He needed a ride. Anyway, I walk in there. I walk in this building and there's locker doors. So it must have been a high school or something. I don't know. I don't know why those locker doors were there. Little gym locker doors. You've seen them before. this is the first part of it. And not too many people know this story. And I'm sure he doesn't care. Kevin Nash comes up to me, world champion. He goes, Barry, I'm in some of the meetings, the war room. I said, yeah, I'm going along with this because I was always taught, don't mess up a rib. And I know Kevin, he's ribbing me. He says, you're going over tonight. And he's telling me the gist of the story, fastly and whispering it. Oh, wow, cool. In my mind, oh, yeah, right. But I'm going to put it over with him. Thank you, Kevin, blah, blah, blah. I appreciate that. I don't know. A couple hours later, there's an open catering. The doors, it's wide open. There's tables, round tables. Hey, Pat wants to talk to you. Okay, it's wide open. Everybody can see us talking there. And it's dim. I sit here. Pat is right there. He says, listen, we're going to do this thing tonight with you and Skip, Chris Candido. He says, if it takes off, we'll prolong it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I was told by an agent, Blackjack Lanza, that I had a bunch of matches with him, second and third, but I guess this one got reported, that I had an unbelievable match at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee, and it was reported. We need to do something with this guy. Mm-hmm. Pat lays it out. I thank him, and the rest is history. And when I mean history, I mean I'm doing a commercial for karate fighters. I'm going to meet and greets. I'm meeting the San Francisco 49ers in Anaheim at a private party. I'm on the celebrity softball team, the WWF wrestlers against the underdog, Comic-Con people like Welcome Back Carter, shows like that, of that nature. I'm in the Royal Rumble. I'm in King of the I'm the captain of my team at Survivor Series. I'm going over in the second, to this day, highest paying pay-per-view, SummerSlam, next to WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. I'm on this and featured all from this, doing promos. I'm involved in almost everything for at least a year. So that's the story. And I fast forwarded a lot, but you got the gist of it and the bullet points.
Oh, no, I've got more questions for it as well.
No problem.
Well, you know how, I'm sure you know very much how a lot of wrestlers, when you ask them to lose, they can get a bit butthurt over it and say, I don't want to lose. And Chris Candido wasn't like that, was he?
Chris Candido, and I mean this, maybe even more so, a mirror of me. I friggin' enjoyed it. Like Owen, like a lot of guys, but Chris was just so nice. And he's a tough guy, and he worked hard. I mean, and he had some good stuff he did. I think he was just so respectful of me. I don't know what it was, but the chemistry was phenomenal. It was the next level. It was incredible, and it just no pulling teeth at all. And by the way, just to piggyback on that statement about the jobs and doing them, here's my favorite answer. First of all, you're worried about your win-loss record. Now, granted, when I say I don't give a shit, it doesn't mean, just beat me, I don't give a shit, give me the payday. I don't mean that. I mean, I don't give a shit in a respectful way. What are you going to... I don't want to put him over. It's got to be, you got to hit me with a truck, a garbage can, and 2 F5s or whatever. Ridiculous. I mean, it makes you stronger, or maybe it makes you weaker. I don't know. But here's my answer. You're worried about your win-loss record? Give your notice. Call Dana White up. Go in there with Brock Lesnar for about 10 seconds. Get your ass pummeled, stretched, and beat the fuck up. And you'll beg for Vince back. Or go to Burger King and ask if you want fries with that Coke. That's where you're going to be. Or you're going to be in some local third-rate Japan company paying $100 a night. Are you fucking stupid? Do the job.
I've got a couple more for you. You mentioned, King of the Ring, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Obviously, you get, when you appear on a pay-per-view, you get a pay rise. Well, not a pay rise, but you get a bonus, for a pay-per-view bonus for appearing on the show. Did you notice your day-to-day pay rising as well? For the house shows? So. Yeah?
I think so. But in my position, say it wasn't right. Am I going to question it? That's not cool. What in my position? I'm not Brett. I'm not Bob Backlund. I'm not Hulk Hogan. And I'm not saying they're better than me and nothing like that. But the pecking order, again, in a polite way, is different. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to question because guess what? I'm where I want to be and I am making more money.
And you're saving it as well, of course.
Yes. Exactly.
Do you remember working specifically with Sunny? How was she to deal with day to day? Because I hear just the gamut of great to positive to negative.
When I knew Sunny, she was probably in her 20s, early 20s, just immature, silly girl. And I didn't talk to her that much because I couldn't correlate or relate to her personality. I was interested in Chris and what we got to do in the ring. It's business. She would come off a little bit, like, don't do that. Just a 19-year-old girl that's 22. Later in years, as she got worse and Chris passed, she completely kayfabed me. You would think there's a bond there. When you do a program with somebody like Orndorff and Hogan, there's something there. Rick Martel, Tony Gurria, Pedro Morales. I'm using people that they had this, they did a program or an angle that was phenomenal. I'm sure a good one is Shane McMahon and Kurt Angle. Mm-hmm. They had chemistry and they did some business. I'm looking at it. There was no bond there. She could care less. She was probably, I think she was inebriated and just didn't know who I was. And then all of a sudden she'd say hello to me or something. But she wasn't the same girl. And she was older and she's in her 40s and it's progressively been a livid train wreck for her. Yeah. And it's a shame. It's a shame.
We've sort of exhausted the Chris Candido questions and that, but we've got, as I see on the clock, about 3 minutes left. So I'm going to ask one question, well, maybe two, I don't know, see how many we can fit in.
I'm waiting for the one in my mind that I thought you were just going to ask, but you didn't, but I'll let you. I'll do it.
No, go on. You've got to tell me what it is now.
You still may have it in your hip pocket.
No. Well, I've probably written it down, but go on. Tell me what it was.
Are you going to ask me anything about the Hall of Fame?
No, I was actually. Someone wrote earlier, and I skipped over it. That's for part 2, by the way. It's part 2. But I wanted a nice story to end it on. Andre the Giant.
Oh, okay. One more time.
A nice story or a funny story on Andre the Giant.
Okay, I could do a couple of mini ones. Number one, we were overseas in Italy. He took all the heels out for dinner. Now, back then, it was like a $500 dinner. That's probably $2,000 now. Okay, and I was with Barry Darso. He paid the bus driver to take us to the Coliseum at 2 a.m. That's big money. We're downtown in that area in Italy, and we're the only people there. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing is I was allowed to call him boss. Only so many people could do that. Just like I was allowed to call Monsoon, hey, Gino, I'll be at the gorilla position, sir. All out of a respect thing. I'm not related to them. I respect them. And you don't want to mess with Andre, by the way.
No.
I like to just watch him drink the bottle that was this big, that looked that big in his hand when he's playing cribbage with Arnie Skolin.
Do you know, it's funny, I was going to mention cribbage, I was going to mention the drinking, but because you mentioned boss, what did you have to do to earn Andre's respect?
Not be a fuck up. Troublemaker, can't wrestle, Andre don't respect you. You know what he does? He just looks at you like he wants to kill you. Like this. Somebody will go, I won't name these people. Hey, boss, what's up? It's like, who the frig are you talking to? I'd leave the room.
How long before he allowed you to call him boss?
Oh, over a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just shook his hand every time I saw him. That's all I would do to him. That's it. And I still, to this day, I don't remember having a fluid conversation with him. First of all, he's hard to understand, and I just didn't do it. I just didn't do it.
Did you ever see a match? This will be my last question, I assure you. Did you ever see a match where Andre the Giant wrestled somebody who he wasn't as keen on? Maybe a Iron Sheik or somebody like that?
Mm. No. All I know is stories. All I know of stories of him beating the crap out of Bam Bam Bigelow, Big John Studd, possibly Savage because there was too much oil on him, and he told him not to wear it. I don't know that. These are all alleged stories. Mm-hmm. And when I mean beat the crap, you can't get away from him. I think he schooled Studd and Bam Bam. I'm sure there's a host of others, but nothing to do with Hogan. I think there was a big respect thing there.
Mm. Well,
I think so.
Hogan was a giant at the box office, definitely. Listen, Barry, it's been 2 hours. They have flown by, and the questions.
Oh my God!
2 hours, I'm telling you, and the questions I asked. There's plenty more on the script that I never got to ask. So there's always a part 2 in it for you. But
I'm ready.
Before I let you go, before you and Greg wrestle in the kitchen, give us some plugs. Give us social media or anything else you want to promote.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Well, my forte, my thing is the meet and greets. I love doing them. I will do an occasional match like Impact with Johnny Swinger. Great guy, by the way. By the way, that company is not what I thought. That company has got their shit together. I'm impressed with the backstage, with the production, with the camera crew, the ring, Scott D'Amore. I'm not kissing ass here. I'm calling it like it is. There's nothing. I hope to do something with him. I hope I really do. I think of a lot of, AEW too. I was just never thought I'd be in Impact, but I'm very humblified and big. According to my son, 5-star reviews almost on everything is what Cameo is doing well for me.
Yeah.
And I treat it like I do my matches with respect, whatever the fan wants. And Barry, cut a promo on my friend. The reins are off. The cups are off. Do whatever you want. You don't even have to say his name. Just verbally crucify him. So it's that. It's ProWrestlingTees.com. It is highspots.com. I'm involved with YouTube, involved with, of course, all the organizations. More AEW and Impact in WWE, which I'll never understand, but that's another chapter, another story to talk about. My Facebook loaded with new pictures this week, and there's going to be even newer ones because I'm at a new event today, and for the next few days, probably one of the biggest meet and greets in the South will be tomorrow. Excuse me. Yes, tomorrow. So that is what it. Like I said, what Barry's goal is. I would love to be with a company as a coach full time. But that's what I'm doing, and that's I'm just trying to see if and I'm also involved with GTG.com. Good times guaranteed with my business partner, the king of credit, Richie Sorrentino. In his eyes, I am the king of Subway. Figure that one out. But great guy, good partner. He's got a cool live wrestling auction every Wednesday. And he's got some stuff. It's crazy. He's been doing it for a few years. So that's what's been going on with Barry Horowitz.
Excellent.
Again, what I was saying, the meet and greets and an occasional match.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. I'm going to get my editor, Chris. He's going to go through everything you just said. We'll include links on every video, try and get you a bit more traffic and everything like that. I'm just looking
at it.
Cameo, 4.99 stars out of 5, so you can't get much better than that as well. So Cameo, Barry Horowitz, and a load of other stuff. But for now, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you again next time. Barry, much appreciated. You'll have to come back for part 2.
Oh, yes.